Hi everybody, I'm Mickey Gousset, and I want to thank you for taking the time to go on this journey into GitHub Project Boards. GitHub Project Boards are a great way to organize and prioritize the work you need to do on your project, but they don't do you much good without some content. In this video, I'm going to cover what GitHub Issues are and how you can add issues to a project board to make them easier to track and prioritize. Let's get started. In the first video of this series, I talked about what a GitHub project board is, what it is used for, and how you create them. In this video, we are going to look at how you can add issues to a project board. So what is a GitHub issue? It's a construct that is used to track ideas, enhancements, tasks, and bugs for work on GitHub. And that is just getting started. In reality, you can track almost anything you want with issues. It is definitely for more than just reporting software bugs. By taking an issue and adding it to a project board, you have the ability to then track and prioritize the issues to work on. Issues by themselves don't have any sort of priority or order to them. Adding them to a project board allows you to wrap some process around your issues. And the connection between the board and the issue is bidirectional, so updates to the issue are reflected on the board, and vice versa. There are two ways you can add an issue to a project board. The first is from the Issues page itself. On the right-hand side of the page is a Projects section. This section is where you can see what project boards an issue is a member of. Remember, an issue can be a member of multiple project boards, and also where you can add an issue to a project board. To add an issue to a board, you click the gear icon next to Projects, then select the appropriate board. The second way you can add an issue to a board is from the board itself. At the top right of the board is a button, Add Cards. Clicking this button will open a flyout window with all the issues that are in the repositories connected to this board. You can filter on the results to find the issues you need, then add them to the board, either by dragging and dropping or using keyboard shortcuts. Let's look at two different demos. In the first demo, I am going to use the user project board and repository I created in the first video of this series. I'm going to create two issues, add one of them through the Issues page, and the second through the board itself. I'll show you any automation that happens and explain why something did or did not happen. I'll show you how to add an issue using two different methods, drag and drop and keyboard shortcuts, as well as how to remove an issue from the board. In the second demo, I'm going to do something similar to the first demo, but using the Automated Kanban with Reviews repository project board, again created in the first video of this series. I'll add an issue from the Issues page, as well as using the board, and I'll look at any automation that occurs. To get started on our first demo, we're going to look at adding issues to our user-owned board. So if I go under my user profile, I can see that I have a Your Projects, and if I go to Your Projects, I have one board, the user-owned board we created in the previous video. And if we look at that board, if we remember, we added 3 columns to it, backlog doing and finished, and we didn't turn on any automation. We can see that by going to manage automation on each column, it would be set to none. So this board, remember, is scoped to my user profile. It's linked to a repository called my user-owned board repo. That's the repository that I linked to it, and I have the 3 columns that are on this board. So if we go to my user-owned board repo, this is the repository that board is linked to. Now what I want to do is create a couple of issues to use as part of this demo. So if I go over to the Issues tab, you can see that right now I don't have any issues created in my repository. So we're going to click the New Issues button, and we're going to give this the very descriptive name of My Issue 1. And we'll give it a comment, I am an issue. Now you'll notice that with issues, I have the ability to do things such as assign them to people. I can give them labels. So I could come into here under labels, and I could say this is, say, a bug issue. And then I could assign it to myself if I wanted to. You'll notice as I make changes, it automatically saves those changes. So that's great. I have my first issue. We'll submit this as a new issue. Now I want to create a second issue. So I'll click the New Issue button, and I'll give this the title of My Issue 2 with a comment, I am another issue. For this one, we'll set the label to be documentation, but we're not going to assign it to anybody. And we'll submit this new issue. So I now have 2 issues, and if I go back to my Issues tab, I can see here are my 2 issues. And you'll see the Issues tab gives you a view of the issues as well as some of the other information, such as if you gave them labels, we can see the labels here. I could see projects they might be parts of, etc. So let's open up My Issue 1. Oh, that's My Issue 2. Let's go back. Let's open up My Issue 1. And I want to add this issue to a project board from the Issues page. So over here under Projects, I can see that right now, this issue has not been added to any project boards. So I can click the gear icon, and you'll notice I get a window that shows me recent boards I've accessed, any repository boards that are in this repository. In this case, there aren't any, and any user boards I have access to. So we can see, I can see the user-owned board 1 that we created before. If I had lots of projects listed, I could use this to filter down to the specific project that I care about. Since this is the board I want to add it to, I'm going to select it. And now you can see that the issue has been added to user-owned board 1, but you'll notice that it says awaiting triage. So the issue's been added to the board, but it has not been added to a column yet because it doesn't know what column to use. So if we come over here and we'll open this in a new tab, so we'll go to my board in another tab, and we open up this board, then you'll notice that on the Add Cards page, we have 2 cards. We have My Issue 2, and then we have My Issue 1, which is currently in triage mode. So it's been added to the board, but it's not been added to a specific column on the board yet. So if we go back to the issue, then we can triage it directly from the issue by clicking the drop-down arrow next to Awaiting Triage. And so I select that, and I can select the column that I want it to move to, and I can click Backlog. So you'll see that it's now added to the backlog column in the first board, And if I go back to user own board 1, you can see that the issue has moved automatically into the backlog column. Now, the reason that it did not go automatically into a column is because there's no automation turned on this board. Remember, if we came in here and looked, if we look at the automation for each column, it's set to none. So therefore, there's nothing that tells the board what to do when you add the new issue. Now, we added the issue using the issue page itself. We also have the ability to add issues directly from the board page. So here, if we close this, I can either click Add Cards, which opens up the Add Cards flyout, or I can click Menu, and off our menu there's a plus sign, which will open the Add Cards board for me. And this shows me, in this case, the results from the linked repository. I've only got one repository, and I've only got issues in that repository right now, not pull requests. And you can see I've only got one there, and it's my issue 2. So I can grab my issue 2, and I can drag it over to a particular column and put it in the right spot. Now the catch is, if I don't want it on the board, I can't bring it back. You'll notice it doesn't let me bring it back. So let's say I drag and drop it, and it's not where I want it to be. I can select the card, and I can say Remove from Project. And it will confirm, do you want to remove this from the project? And I will say, yes, I do. And then it will put the card, takes the card out of the project. And if I do a quick little refresh, you'll see the card is back. Now I have a second way to move that card, and that's using the keyboard. So if I hit the Tab key, you'll see the focus moves to the checkbox, and if I hit the Tab key again, it moves to that link. And if I hit the Tab key again, it moves to the first search result. So in this case, we have my issue 2. You can see that it's got a highlighted border around it. If I then click the space bar, you see how it highlighted it and shifted it a little bit. It's now selected, and I can now use the arrow keys to move this left and right to a particular column, or to move it up and down in a column. So I'm going to add it to the backlog column underneath my issue 1, and when I have it where I want it, I can simply hit enter to lock it in place. So what we've looked at in this demo is how to add an issue to a board using the issues page as well as using the boards page, how we can drag and drop issues on, as well as use the keyboard shortcuts to move issues around, and how in this case for this board, since there's no automation, when you add an issue to the board from the issues page, it goes into a triage state that you have to deal with to put that issue into a particular column. Next up, we're going to look at what happens when we use a board that has automation. So to do that, we're going to go back over to our repos, and we're going to go to My Acme repository. So this is a repository I created previously, and in this repository I created 4 repository boards. So we're going to look at the Automated Kanban with Reviews board. Now remember, this board was created using the template Automated Kanban with Reviews. So it created all of these columns for us, and you can see at the bottom that the columns have automation turned on. And because we created this with a template, it created several cards for us automatically. In this case, these are note cards. So let's first off remove these. So what I'm going to do is archive them. So for each note card, I'm going to select it and I'm going to say archive. And this moves those into an archive because I don't need them right now. Now you'll notice that the to-do column is automated as the to-do automation. So I can click Manage at the bottom of the screen, or I can click the ellipse and select Manage Automation. And this shows me that for the to-do board, the to-do column, anytime a new issue is added, it's automatic to this project, it's automatically put in this column. And I have these other automation options, such as when an issue is reopened, or a pull request is added or reopened. But those you can see are being used by the in progress column. The only thing automation-wise being used by the to-do column is newly added issues, when added to this project, will show up in this column. So let's see that in action. I'm going to go back to my Issues page, or my Issues tab on this repository, and I'm going to click New Issue. And we will call this issue My Advanced Issue 1. Let's not do that. There we go. I am an advanced issue. So we're going to assign this to me, and we're going to give it a label of a bug. And then we're going to submit it. Then we're going to click the New Issue button and create a second issue, which we will call My Advanced Issue 2. We'll give it a comment. I am another advanced issue. We're not going to assign it to anyone, but we'll give it a label of documentation. And we'll submit it. And just as before, if we go back to the Issues page, we can see we currently have 2 issues. So I'm going to select My Advanced Issue 1. And just like we did before, I'm going to come over here to Projects, and I'm going to select the gear icon. And in this case, you can see that I've recently accessed all of these different project boards. I can see the boards that are just repository boards, and I can see any boards that might be user boards. So I'm going to select the repository board, and I'm going to say add this to the Automated Kanban with Reviews repository board. Now you'll notice that it added it, and it automatically added it to the to-do column. That's because the automation, as we looked at previously, is set up to move newly added issues to the to-do column. Now from here, I could move it to other columns if I wanted to, but in this case, we'll leave it in the to-do column for now. Now, if we go to our repository project boards, and we open up Automated Kanban with Reviews, we can see that the Advanced Issue 1 is there. And if I come over to Add Cards, there's my Advanced Issue 2. And we can drag this over under Advanced Issue 1, just like we did previously. Now, remember that I said you could add the same issue to multiple boards. Let's go back under Project Boards, and let's go to just the Automated Kanban board. And let's quickly archive the cards that are there by default. And if I go to Add Cards, you can see I see both issues. And that's because I can add an issue to multiple boards. It doesn't restrict me from just adding it to just one board. So in this case, I'm going to take Advanced Issue 2 and put it on my to-do column. And then I'm going to add Advanced Issue 1 underneath it. So I'm reversing the order that I had them in on the other board. So if we go back to the Automated Kanban with Reviews board, you can see I have Advanced Issue 1 and then Advanced Issue 2. But if I go to just the Automated Kanban board, I have Advanced Issue 2 and then Advanced Issue 1. So they're in opposite orders. If I go back to my issues and I open up Advanced Issue 1, And you can see that it is part of two different projects, and it is in the to-do column of both projects. So this is a handy way to be able to tell what boards you've added this issue to and where it is in the process on that board. I hope you have enjoyed this video on adding issues to your GitHub project boards. Make sure you come back to check out the next video in the series, Working with Issues on GitHub Project Boards, where I will show you how to move the issues through your process on the boards, making use of automation, and show how the project board tracks your progress. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button below and subscribe to my channel for more DevOps goodness. Thanks for watching.